for another episode here with Delaware Valley Contractors Insurance. Today's topic, we're going to follow up on our last video on general liability insurance and discuss 3 ways that any construction business can save money and lower their overall cost on their general liability insurance. Now, in looking at this part of your coverage and your insurance program on an annual basis, it may not be something that has jumped out to you year over year, depending on the type of work that you do. The reason for this video and the reason I feel it's important to understand these 3 things is because general liability insurance is one of the lines of coverage that has seen the highest increases year over year within all of the other coverage lines. It didn't used to be that way. General liability usually remained pretty consistent, pretty flat as far as rates go. But now we are starting to see a much higher increase to this line of business year over year. And so with that coming down the line, and with that maybe already having an impact on your business, there are 3 things that we can discuss that I think will help you, one, get a better understanding of how your liability coverage is rated, but also find some ways to maybe limit and control the increases that you may see to this line of your coverage, okay? So the first one I think is just worth noting is making sure that you have the right coverage limits. And this is going to extend a little bit past your general liability into your umbrella coverage. But when we talk about general liability, the majority of businesses out there carry the same base limits, and that is $1 million per occurrence and a $2 million aggregate. For a better understanding of that, be sure to check out our most recent video where we go into that a little bit more in depth. But making sure that you have the right limits of insurance here is important. And this is getting a little bit more nuanced, but follow me here. If everybody's carrying $1 million per occurrence and $2 million aggregate, understand that there are other options out there, depending on the size of your business. Your umbrella liability, which sits over top of your general liability, could also be adding a significant cost to your business, depending on the limits you're required for certain jobs. If you're not getting into jobs that require a large umbrella, or even if you are, understand that most of the times they're looking for a combined limit that may be $5 million or maybe $10 million. And the umbrella, as those costs continue to go up alongside general liability, from a comparison perspective, general liability rates are more affordable and it's more cost effective to increase here if you can. So what I'm getting at here is most carriers will write $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate. But the way you may be able to help lower your umbrella costs, your overall insurance program costs, is by increasing your general liability policy to a $2 million per occurrence, $4 million aggregate, which in turn will essentially allow you to lower your umbrella down by another $1 million, or depending on what your limits are currently, may be able to do away with that altogether. However, you would be risking a little bit losing that coverage over top of your auto liability. It's not something you should jump to do immediately, but it is something worth considering with how much umbrella premiums continue to increase alongside general liability, okay? There's not a whole lot to the limits there, but that is something that you can consider, okay? The second one, and if you've been in this business for a long time, you've run a construction company, or you have any interactions with an insurance perspective, you know how important this is, and this is keeping accurate payroll and subcontractor records, okay? Majority of carriers from a general liability perspective will rate off of your total payroll for your field, meaning your laborers, people who are out in the field doing whatever trade it is that you do. And that payroll is multiplied by the company's rate, and that's how they determine your premium. If you're keeping accurate payroll, if we just look at everything in-house, making sure that you have accurate, up-to-date payroll on your own employees, and it's something that you check back in maybe once or twice throughout the policy period to make sure that you're staying the course with what was used to estimate your policy, can help save you significantly, especially when it comes time for audit, to prevent you from having any back charges because your estimate for the year wasn't accurate, okay? The second piece, if we start to look out of house, outside of your immediate business, and we look to your subcontractors, keeping accurate and up-to-date subcontractor files is so important. This is where most contractors get crushed with their premium audits and their general liability. If you can't furnish a certificate of insurance for all of your subcontractors that work for you during the policy period, your carrier is going to charge you as if what you paid to those subcontractors was your payroll. Okay? I'm going to say that again. If you can't provide proof of insurance for your subcontractors that worked for you during your policy period, then the carrier you're with will charge you for any of your costs paid to them as your own payroll. This is without a doubt the number one headache that we see with contractors when it comes time for audit, is that they're scrambling to get certificates, or they're facing a huge audit bill because they did not get the certificates that they needed to provide proof of coverage. If you can keep accurate internal payroll and subcontractor files, then you will make your audit process easier, and you will ultimately limit any exposure you may have to a large audit or increase general liability premiums. Okay? The third piece, and this one is a little bit more of a gray area and maybe harder for some people to digest, but that is to improve your overall risk profile. Now, in layman's terms, what that means is to get very clear about what your business does and how you do it and what you're doing to keep your employees and your customers safe. Okay? From a risk management perspective, if you have the proper controls in place, regular safety meetings, okay, proper safety policies, safety manuals, which we provide to our customers, if you have those in place and an agent goes to send your submission into a carrier, they're going to look at you through a much better lens, saying, hey, they're doing the right things to prevent claims from happening. So that's step one in improving your overall risk profile. The next step there is to make sure that you're very clear, and this is one that I can't stress enough, very clear about what it is that your business does. I get it, a lot of contractors are involved in multiple trades. But what kills contractors from having available markets, meaning underwriters who are willing to quote their business, is them not having or being able to get a clear understanding of what you specifically do. What do you specialize in? Look, I'm not here to tell you how to run your business, but websites that, well, let me start by saying that websites are often the first line of defense for underwriters. It's the first thing they look at. And I get, from an SEO perspective, from trying to drive inbound leads, this is important. But when you advertise 100 different services, most of which you haven't completed in the last 5 years for anybody, you are putting yourself at risk for carriers saying, hey, we don't want this business. They are a jack of all trades and a master of none. But when you are very specifically an industrial electrical contractor, or you are a residential remodeler, you are residential paving contractor, whatever it may be, being very specific that this is what we do, this is what we're good at, will improve your chances of having more carriers who want to write your business, which in turn will create a more competitive marketplace for you. This is one we'll probably dig into in future episodes a little bit more because of how much more important this has become as of late in this technology era. But as of right now, I can't stress it enough. Be very clear about what you do. Make sure that your website reflects that so that you're not limiting your carrier options and creating an uncompetitive market for you or your agent to go to, okay? So next time you're reviewing your general liability, keep these 3 things in mind. Make sure that you're addressing the appropriate coverage limits, that you're keeping accurate payroll and subcontractor records, and that you are documenting and doing everything you can to improve your overall risk profile. Hopefully you'll find this helpful. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so that you can stay in touch with any of the future videos that we do geared just towards contractors and how to improve your overall insurance program.